Out of 100 unicorns of India, more than 40% have gone to abroad to build something in India. So what is the relationship?
A lot of tech innovation had happened outside of India in US. Things that I learned there was how to think first principles. How do you question every single thing? And in India, unfortunately, like one of the things we were discouraged from doing was asking questions. So when we were at 1 million, then we were working out of an apartment.
The mission क्या था?
Mission was the same, which is you have to solve for technical education.
Companies के लिए बहुत struggle होता है. For example, Starbucks when it was scaling from 1 to 100, 100 to 1000 easily हो गया. 1000 to 5000 it broke.
Yeah.
CEO को change करना पड़ा, it struggled.
Yeah.
Now, how do you make sure that doesn't happen to you? The biggest amount of hate scaler gets is about the fees. What is your response to that?
Yeah, 100% of zero is still zero. And like 50% of something big is still a very, very large amount.
What has been the most challenging part of running the startup? जो लोग behind the scenes नहीं देखते हैं, if you can share.
There are plenty.
So now let's meet the founders of Scalar and see the vision they had to create Scalar School of Technology. So hi Anshuman,
Hey.
and hi Abhimanyu.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having me. So can you please share? So while you were at Meta and did you also work abroad?
I worked at Fab.com.
Which one?
Fab.com. It was
Fab.com.
a New York-based fashion startup.
So you both worked in the US. Can you share what was happening in the US at the time during your work that you got the idea of creating Scalar School of Technology?
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the things that happened while I was at Facebook was that we used to hire a lot of engineers. In fact, like there was so much dearth of talent that we even set up a new office in London to hire engineers because we wanted to get people on H-1B visa. And then one of the realization there was, because we used to come to India every year to hire, one of the realization was that the college talent that we would hire was not up to the mark. We went to a few IIT campuses. We ended up hiring nobody from there, and we felt that, I mean, there is a gap that could be plugged. And then I had certain personal examples from my end as well. People not being able to get to the top institutes. There, I mean, it was, the quality of education was pathetic. So felt like this is something we could solve. We come from a place where we felt we had the authority to solve, and hence Scalar happened.
Awesome, and you got inspired by YC culture to create Innovation Hub and a incubator kind of culture here that people are building things, and it's incredible. So in terms of going abroad, can you share what happens when a person goes abroad that their vision opens? Ki chahe Ambani's ki baat kar lo, Tata ji ki, everyone we talk about have been to abroad and solved problem, whether it's Zepto. Out of 100 unicorns of India, more than 40% have gone to abroad to build something in India. So what is the relationship?
Interesting question.
Yeah, maybe I can take a stab first and then you can go later.
Yeah.
I think one is, at least at the time when I just working with people who have made that innovation helps you learn a lot. For example, one of the person I used to work with was the person who had created Google Maps. The other person was the person who had created CAPTCHA. Again, like I'm assuming everybody has used CAPTCHA.
Everyone is forced to use CAPTCHA.
Yeah, supposed to use CAPTCHA. Mark Zuckerberg himself had created Facebook. So when you talk to people who have built things at that scale, there's a very different perspective that you get. One of the things that I learned there was how to think first principles. How do you question every single thing? And in India, unfortunately, like one of the things we were discouraged from doing was asking questions. So when you start questioning everything, then you say, oh wait, like this is not optimal. This maybe something could be built in a better way because it is not optimal. It is not how it is supposed to be. And then you start building the next version. And I'm sure like that is what has happened with everybody else as well.
Oh, got it.
If you want to add something, please.
Yeah.
No, I think I'll just add one thing, and I think that dynamics has, however, people who went and worked abroad for a few years, they built a lot of financial security for themselves. And of course, to build something, you have to take risk, and for that risk, that financial security helps you take that leap of faith. Even if things don't work out, it's okay, you know. Nowadays, however, I think that has changed, that even in India, people have options to earn enough, build a good, security for them in 4-5 years and then take risks. So that's happening now.
I totally agree. I have realized that in US, the curiosity needed in mind is completely different. आपको मैं example बताता हूँ. जैसे कि इंडिया में हम appreciate करते हैं if someone is able to memorize religious books या फिर calculations. अगर कोई orally calculation करता है हम उसको कहते हैं wow you're a genius. But US में ऐसा नहीं होता. US में people are admired for the creativity they do with Google. हम वहाँ पे कहते हैं कि तुम्हें calculation करनी है just go Google it. क्यों बता रहा है? I don't care तू Google use करे calculate करे. I don't care at all. I want to see what you can do beyond technology. यहाँ पे अगर कोई same चीज करता है जो technology पहले से करता है already, you are admired for it. So can you share how you bring the curiosity in kids that is present in US education and how you can bring it here? I saw that curiosity at Dukan. First year students, देखो ये मुझे ये बोलने के लिए कोई पैसे नहीं मिले. I came after visiting Dukan. वहाँ पे first year students are able to become prompt engineers and that hiring happened. I was amazed. I was like, I have to visit School of Technology. Can you share how you brought that curiosity to the students' mind?
We should take you to that wall. It has something written there which might be answer to that.
Sure.
The 4 values that drive Scalar School of Technology, maybe Abhimanyu, if you want to talk about that. We say RICE, which is respect, integrity, curiosity, and excellence. Those are the 4 values, 4 pillars of Scalar School of Technology.
Nice. Can you show us?
Yeah, so that's respect.
Awesome. Integrity.
That's curiosity, and then the final one is excellence.
And these are very important. Absolutely. And there is no value of memorization written in it, which is actually the core of how Indian education system has been running.
Correct. Actually, I'll give you some examples as well. कि वो बोलने के लिए curiosity है, but then how do we implement that in day-to-day, right? For example, one of the things we said was कि we need to take here a very different approach to research. Today, if we look at how research happens, today the best kind of research is happening at Google and Facebook and the Amazons of the world. तो इसलिए हमने बोला कि हमारा जो भी रिसर्च करने का तरीका है कि you actually build things for the world, you build things that require deep tech for the world, and that's your way of doing research, which means you have research with a purpose, and that's the whole idea of Innovation Lab. You don't just write hypothesis, you actually implement the hypothesis and then you take it to the world and like prove it with traction that this is something that is useful.
Often in traditional universities, the purpose of research has gotten limited to publishing the paper. Whether that paper has real insights, discovered something new, actually leads to any impact on the world is forgotten. Often institutes are just categorized on how many research papers you have published. And I think we are taking an approach that what could you build that require a deep research? So do research to build something that creates impact.
And just I'll use your platform to maybe say out a message. We also invite founders from outside who are building in deep tech to come and build outside of the Innovation Lab for free. In fact, we also give grants there because there is an indirect benefit that we reap out, which is students get to work on something which is cutting edge. So if you're somebody who's building this early stage, you're building in deep tech, please come to us. We are right in the heart of Bangalore, very nice campus.
Beautiful weather.
And what are the core values of learning? Now, you have introduced DSA and project building from the first year.
Yeah.
And किसी को third year तक wait करने की जरूरत नहीं है to wait कि यार अब DSA अब placement की तैयारी करते हैं. अब first year में you're bringing that drive immediately as student enters college.
Yeah.
So what are the core values of learning? What is the structure of learning, if you can explain?
I think same thing, right? Like one of the things we've realized in especially in tech is you can't learn unless you implement things and you're very hands-on. The learning doesn't stick. A lot of the learning that happens in traditional institutes is very theoretical. And while yes, I'll remember it for the exam, but I'll forget it the next day. I don't remember most of what I learned in college, like 2 months after graduating from the college, right? So because we've kept it very practical first, without compromising on obviously the depth of fundamentals. So hence it is important then that like when it comes to let's say fundamentals around DSA or dev or computer science fundamentals, even architecture, how do you get people to implement things? And that's been the thesis, right? For example, one of the course that gets taken by Mr. Amod Malviya, he was the CTO of Flipkart and the founder of Udan. That is about explaining computer architecture. Now, one of the struggles for us has been like he was adamant that I need actual machines or laptops that people can open and then play around with. Only then will I take
open the circuitry, actually take out the motherboard. I want the students to do that.
So we've arranged for like these rusty laptops which people can then open and then maybe fix.
So this time when he's going to take this lecture, we are saying we'll get, actual physical hardware for the students to open and not just read about it, see a photo, but actually have the motherboard right in front of you, plug out the circuits, put it back together.
Yeah, awesome. So you're trying to bring what 3 idiots taught us 16 years ago, and अब जाके वो implement हो रहा है. Okay, so now the important talk. First of all, आप बताना कि how your company has evolved from first time you got valued at $1 million, then 100, and now close to $1 billion, around 700 million plus valuation. How you have evolved?
So when we were at 1 million, then we were working out of an apartment. There were like 2 or 3 of us.
We used to live there, we used to work there, we used to party there. All of that in that same apartment, 2-bedroom apartment.
तब mission क्या था?
Mission was the same, which is you have to solve for technical education. The answer was different. So the problem statement was the same, the answer was different. Then we were creating a self-serving product, which was very engaging. We were in fact creating like a Duolingo version of programming. How do you get started with programming and how do you get better at programming, like step by step in a gamified fashion. And what we realized in that phase obviously was that while that is helpful, education is a lot about actually the ecosystem that is around you, because education is primarily about engagement and completion rates. And like no matter what you do in that product world without the involvement of a human being, the completion rates suffer. So hence we say like what has the highest completion rates? Universities do. Let's try to build out, I mean we first started with a virtual university where we built out it online, and then with actual human beings who would talk with you, who would push you. And now we're doing Scalar School of Technology where the mission is how do we build like an Stanford out of India, and hopefully Google's also out of India emerging from that Stanford.
So mission has stayed same, but you guys have grown with more people.
Yeah.
But इस process में देखो companies के लिए बहुत struggle होता है. For example, Starbucks when it was scaling from 1 to 100, 100 to 1000 easily हो गया. 1000 to 5000 it broke.
Yeah.
CEO को change करना पड़ा, it struggled.
Yeah.
Now how do you make sure that doesn't happen to you?
मतलब मेरा एक रिलेशन ये था कि हम लोग हैं इंजीनियर्स, तो एक्चुअली हमें तो उस टाइम पे जो आता था वर्सेस जो आज आता है उसमें बहुत डिफरेंस है. इट्स ओनली अबाउट हाउ डू यू लर्न एंड कीप बिकमिंग बेटर वर्जन ऑफ योरसेल्फ, and that is a function of how do you keep punching above your weight and either hire people who are better than you, or you go and just keep frequently taking advice from people who are significantly better than you. In this journey, to be honest, like a lot of people that we've hired, we would have loved to work under them. That's been the learning, that like swallow your ego, just learn from people who are just better than you, and then they teach you, and then you become better, and then you understand how to run at scale.
I think as founders, we are more of the custodian of making sure that we do the right things, we make the right choices. And I think one of the things that I'm most proud of, that most people in the team, they are much better than us in doing what they do. Our job is making sure that they are working in the right direction. And there are certain, the governance, doing the right things, ethics, all of those are at place.
और इस process पे I think the biggest amount of hate Scalar gets is about the fees and about mismanagement. I really want to open up. What is your response to that? Most students are very happy with the curriculum, but very sad about कि कभी-कभी classes cancel होती हैं, and maybe because like founders are busy. And number 2 is fees, which around 20 lakhs they sometimes think कि ज़्यादा expensive है. What is your response to that?
Right. मतलब वो 20 lakh is the fees for the physical program. The online program is obviously much cheaper, but उस पे भी हमें hate मिलता है fees को लेके. And that's a very early call that we took कि हमें बनाना क्या है. Either we can solve for mass, but we might not be able to create very high quality program. Because जब आपके पास margin ज़्यादा होते हैं, तो then you can hire the best people, you can hire the best mentors, you can spend on making sure the education keeps becoming better and better. तो आपको बनाना क्या है एक्चुअली पिरामिड अगर मैं एक ड्रॉ करूं तो आप क्या बनाना चाहते हो? आप एपेक्स बनाना चाहते हो या फिर मिडिल पोर्शन बनाना चाहते हो या बॉटम ऑफ द पिरामिड बनाना चाहते हो? उस पे कॉल लेना ऑन डे वन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
All of these have value.
Everything has value.
Very clear that what are you building, that's important.
तो हमें बहुत क्लियर था कि वी वांट टू फोकस ऑन द एपेक्स, बिकॉज टू बी ऑनेस्ट अगर हम एपेक्स अच्छे से सॉल्व कर लेते हैं, इफ वी हैव अ स्टैनफोर्ड, ठीक है, बचा हुआ लेयर धीरे धीरे यहाँ से सीख के मे बी यहीं के लोग बना देंगे. But ye banana is the most important part, right? Like, and that basically sets out like a very different quality of talent in the ecosystem. And that requires, to be honest, investment and capital and like पैसा चाहिए होता है, कोई free में नहीं पढ़ाता है.
Like if I'm hiring a, let's say, instructor for machine learning, I might have two options. Ki this guy will need, I will have to pay him 2x, because why would someone who's so fantastic come and work for me for half the salary? And then I have another choice that I can also hire instructors to teach machine learning at 1/4 the cost or half the cost, but I know they are not the best. I do not want to make that choice that, we can't pay that much salary, so let's adjust to someone inferior. Because students' future, what they could do after 4 years, is dependent on who's the people teaching them.
Yeah, I mean, better stuff costs more. But
Yeah.
what about the path to profitability? You said कि अभी तक Scalar is not profitable yet. So what is the vision to make it profitable? Are you going to cut jobs? Because Bangalore is reacting negatively अगर आप cut jobs करते हो. But on the other hand, Elon Musk got appreciated when he reduced Twitter from 8,000 to 2,000. तो यहाँ पे socialist culture है. अगर आप jobs cut करके cost savings करते हो, redundant work निकालते हो, you're penalized for it.
Hated for it.
Yeah. So what is the goal to make it profitable?
I mean, last quarter have been profitable. We are already profitable in a sense. And we are pretty sure that, we will be able to just repeat it for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Without cutting jobs.
I mean, I would say कि we'll keep building efficiencies wherever possible. कुछ टाइप की जॉब ऐसी हैं जो कि लोगों को भी करना पसंद नहीं है. तो उनको मतलब rather upskill करके we get them to do better things. That's better. I mean, we try to keep the हमारा भी scale बढ़ेगा. I'm hoping with time, and we don't have to then hire more and more people to keep increasing the scale. That is how you bring in more efficiency, by having them focus on higher quality stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's, and in a way, like if you look, हम job cut कर रहे हैं for उस case में, because otherwise हमें hire करना पड़ता.
जी.
But मतलब we're trying to cut jobs without having to fire people.
So let's say if the business scales by say 30%, 50%, but you do not have to increase the cost in the same proportion, you naturally become immediately.
अब AI revolution के बाद, what are the changes you have done in Scalar, and how are you leading the path of profitability with AI?
I can kind of start with a simile that say 200 years back, when there were no machinery, no steam engine, most power available to the civilization was mostly the muscle power, either of animals or humans, right? And when the tractors and the steam engines came in, lot of laborers thought that now the world is over. There will be no work left for most people. But actually, if you see that, it freed a lot of humans from the kind of work that humans should not be doing, right? And got them to do much better quality of work. Let's say instead of just digging, in the soil, they became machine operators. I think AI brings about another such thing. Today, a lot of people, even right around us, a lot of people are doing work which is not meant for human. Let's say if I just simply talk about a telecaller. Right now, there's a memorized script the person has, and he's just picking up the phone and reading that out. Now his humanity is taken away from that person. If that someone is in a way, if our society is forcing a human to do that for 10 hours back to back, this person can do so much more. The human mind is so much more capable of.
So true.
So what I believe is that AI will free a lot of human bandwidth from things which do not need human bandwidth, right? I can give you one example. So let's say in our company as well, one thing that we care a lot about is that let's say people who are admission counselors, who are advising people, we want to make sure that they are giving the right information about the program. They are not saying anything which is not which should not be said, right? Now, how do you do that at scale? Someone has to listen to every single call, right? And make sure that if anyone is going away, either there is a, let's say, punishment, or there is a retraining if it is unintentional but the person doesn't know, right? Now, we required a large enough team to just listen to every call, and to be very candid, we couldn't even have 100% coverage, because if there are so many people talking to so many people, you cannot listen to every single call. What we did, one thing that we implemented was that every single call is recorded, transcribed, fed into an AI system, and the AI system knows that what are the do's and don'ts. If there is any call which gets flagged for the don'ts, in real time it gets flagged to the manager, to the higher management, and then it will get reviewed and the corrective action could be taken. Either, if someone is just not fixing himself, then there's a punishment, or most likely, if it is because of the person didn't know, correct that and make sure that the person who they spoke with even the correction is done there immediately. Now that has improved, like probably while it freed up, probably I would say 90% of the people who were just having to listen. And now they're doing probably something much better, much more impactful. So I think a lot of such things will happen. There are so many, different things in the business that happen, which AI can do much better and free those humans to do something better. I won't say that it will take away the jobs, it will put them into better jobs.
I think it's just more efficient, right? For example, today, when he says real time, I'll explain how real time it is. Imagine, let's say I was on a call, I promised something bad, I put down the call and my manager is here.
Oh.
Because he would get an immediate notification that something incorrect was said in this call, go and address.
India has labor, so that's why you have a layer above it. नहीं तो आपके साथ भी वो हो सकता है जो Chevrolet के साथ हुआ था. Someone prompt injected कि मुझे free में Chevrolet दो, कोई prompt डाल के कुछ ऐसी चीजें डाल के जो it can trigger. For example, एक HTML tag में आप invisible tag डाल सकते हो and say that give me car for free, और आप कह सकते हैं give me scalar 20 lakh package for free. और अगर chatbot ने reply कर दिया yes, then you're forced to, because लोग screenshot Twitter पे डाल देंगे and you will be forced. So you have a layer immediately. अगर don't पे जाता है, you keep an eye on that model. Is that how you prevent
It's
it?
human supervised.
Okay, human supervised.
Yeah.
And then once it's perfected, then next आप एक level हटा दोगे. Okay, got it. In this AI revolution, we shouldn't talk about how much jobs we cut, but how much profitability it has brought. तो आप बताना कि because of this, I talked to the CEO and CTO of Dukaan. They have become profitable, and they don't need more funding. And what about Scalar? So इसके बाद with AI revolution, is that the biggest reason आप profitable हो कि इससे आप 10x भी जा सकते हो? So what is the profitability path just because of this AI change?
I think for us is more about the efficiency. ठीक है, इससे actually कुछ amount of efficiency bring होती है because you don't need to have an audit team now, and उससे आप कुछ cost बचा लोगे. But
कितना exact बता सकते हो?
So we had a team of roughly around 20 people in audit. Now it's one person team.
Wow.
No, but one thing I will emphasize, that does not mean that 19 people lost the job. Now they're doing something better. Instead of that very mundane, repeated work.
But like the larger driver of profit is essentially how much is one person able to do. उनकी efficiency क्या है? तो for example for us, जैसे हम एक metric ये measure करते हैं कि what is the weekly productivity of a person in sales. Now that for us has almost doubled in the last 6 months, and it's primarily basis like what they are able to say, how is their training driven, being able to give them the right nudge at the right point of time, being able to tell them that this call could have been better, etc., etc. And some of those are today driven through systems outside of the main CRM that we have, and we're trying to bring all of that together into a singular CRM that becomes more real time for them. As they are talking, they could see things in front of them.
I think maybe you can talk about Companion a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, one of the other efforts that we're working on is called Companion. The thesis is that, I mean, if you look at historic times, the one privilege that kings had was that if they had a son or a daughter, they would have a permanent one-on-one coach.
And someone who is like best in their field.
Best in their field, and that person would be Dronacharya, right? For example, was the teacher, right? So they would be teaching them very closely. But like at scale, you can't have like one-on-one teacher for everybody, right? So one of the things that we're trying to build is, can we provide a Dronacharya to every single individual that exists? Which is, how do you give a very personalized companion to everybody who's sitting in the class with you, who's listening to everything that you are also listening to, and is then helping you understand concepts better, is nudging you to maybe do more things. If you get stuck, then it helps you. If you want better video, it helps you. And like that we're calling as companion, which is now how do I have like a singular companion in my online product, which is there with you. And as you're going through the lessons, as you're progressing in the course, then this companion is the person that you ask question to. Could be any question. Could be a career guidance question. Could be a question around a concept you just learned. Could be a question on an assignment that you're solving. And the companion keeps helping you. And now we're also evolving it to become your accountability partner in some ways, where it tries to get you back into the class every single time you're not there.
Incredible way to present the AI revolution, or everyone needs to implement. So Dukaan is implementing for all the small businesses I talk to. What about you? Which company, or are you yourself bringing that AI customer facing interface, or you are using someone's someone's platform for it. आप खुद अपना model बना रहे हो with prompt engineering, AI agent, or using someone's AI agent?
Obviously, the basis is for everything a GPT or a cloud or a Gemini. So that we can't build.
Like intelligence as a service. And
Then agent. So like the base foundation model सबके लिए same है. But which agent you use?
That is our own.
You make your own agent.
Yeah, because there's so much context, business context in some of these products that probably we'll do a better job if we're able to iterate every single hour, every single day on using the content that we have.
Even the speech part, so जैसे काफी लोग whisper AI and like भाषणी use करते हैं जो आप ही का है.
हाँ.
So आप voice detection के लिए, can you walk us through the flow of this agent?
Sure. I mean, so maybe I can take one example of, let's say, the audit thing that we do, right? So audit thing has multiple steps. One is like you have an audio file. How do you transcribe it? Now, there are so many open source software that help you transcribe a audio file. So we run our own GPU server, and like it essentially converts that audio file into it.
And we run one of the open source models for that.
Okay.
So we have not for the transcription. We have not built our own model.
Okay.
Right. We could have used Gong or something, but like
Yeah.
we felt this is much cheaper and yet get the job done. So we did that. Then like you have this transcription file. You want to now derive insights from it, whether somebody was rude in the call, or whether they were promised something that they should not have been, whether they did a good job, right? Like in a way, what is the set of recommendation I would want to give to this person? So that we today leverage Gemini or GPT for some of those, and there we do prompt engineering on top of that ourselves. So that is our set of prompts, and those prompts keep evolving with time. As we see that, oh wait, it's not working good for this case, or maybe it's creating a lot of false positives, that every call is being flagged when it should not be, then we keep tweaking the prompt and making it better over a period of time.
Incredible. So far, you think you have reached 100% accuracy with this AI agent? 99% accuracy?
I mean, so I would say, so accuracy is you don't have any false positive, you don't have any false negative. So one of the things we have confidence on is that there are no false negatives, which means if there is a malpractice, it is always flagged. However, there could be false positives, and we're okay living with that.
Flagging, let's say, if it is flagging, let's say 10 instances in, let's say, a week, it's possible that 6 of them were real, something that's correction, and reason 4 were, it was all right. There was nothing wrong. But we said, let's error on that side. That is flags more. And depending on the business context, you would have to kind of do that trade-off. That do you prioritize more false positives or do you prioritize more false negatives?
Okay, now the most important question, can you share how do you measure success? जब आप $1 million company थे versus 10, 100 and 700. So 3, 10, 100 and 700. How do you had vision की number of users, customer satisfaction, how the ways to measure success has evolved?
I mean, it's always been the area under the curve. Area being how much impact do you bring to a person's life multiplied by number of people that you impacted. So I could either create very small impact in everybody's life and impact a lot of people, or I could impact lesser number of people but create massive impact in their life, right? So it's always the area under the curve, and that's what we keep measuring. इस साल कितने लोगों को impact किया, कितना change लाया उनके life में, and that's the criteria. For us, in our case, it is the amount of employability difference that you create. उनकी earning कितनी improve हो जाती है, let's say before coming to you versus after coming to you.
All right. And what has been the most challenging part of running the startup जो लोग behind the scenes नहीं देखते हैं, if you can share?
There are plenty.
रोज ही fighting चलती रहती है.
No, it's like, see, being an entrepreneur is a journey of a lot of ups and downs. There will be days where you feel so proud and so good about things happening, the outcomes, and there will be days when you just you feel that the world is on fire. But I think just Akash was here yesterday and he was talking about 5 minutes of rage. That even if shit hits the fan, you take that 5 minutes of rage and then you get back to solving the problem. I think that's the important framework, that whatever is happening, have your 5 minutes of rage and then get back to fixing it. But it's constant. I think Jensen Huang, who is the chairman and the founder of NVIDIA, in one of his recent interview, even he said the same. That even after 40 years, it's the same.
Yeah, everything something or the other breaks,
Yeah.
and then you have to go and figure out a solution to that. I mean, for example, dealing with people is hard. And when you have a large people team, then like how do you manage everybody's expectation? How do you make sure that they are excited about being here? That's one kind of problem statement. all of your customers are people. How do you manage their expectations, and how do you make sure they stay happy? That is another problem statement. For us, like when we run the Scalar School of Technology, it's a large responsibility, because going to a college for 4 years is like one of the most important phase of anybody's life.
It's still home, like our college was our home.
And that's something you remember for the rest of your life, right? So if somebody is trusting you with such a large responsibility, then how do you continuously keep delivering more than what was promised? That's again a challenge. So
yeah, can you walk us through one challenge? How you fixed it? Like सबसे बड़ा challenge जो सबसे dangerous होता है, that is co-founder conflicts, and number 2 here and then challenges वो तो चलो आप communication से डांट के we can fix it. So walk us through both.
Yeah, I think we've been very fortunate. Maybe Abhimanyu, you can also pitch in, but like we've known each other much before we started the company.
Yeah.
We were in college together.
18 years now.
Yeah, 18 years now. So equation-wise, there is a lot of synergy. In fact, on a lot of problem statements, we think very alike, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
And I think even on top of that, like we will have often differing opinion about certain things, but I think it's a benefit of being, the engineer mind, that you start just breaking it down into sub-problem, more factual, objective parameters, and then you figure out that what is right.
Fortunately, there haven't been any conflicts.
We might have long debates. There are days when I think our spouses are also kind of little frustrated by that we might get on a call at 9 in the night, and then the call might go until 3 in the morning. Where we're just debating, dissecting problems, figuring out what's the right thing, but I don't remember conflicts ever.
लोगों की curiosity बहुत होती है, so when you found a company, you like 50-50 share करेंगे. But then when efforts of others evolve, एक अगर ज़्यादा effort दे रहा है, other person expects more equity. इसमें आप wars कैसे avoid करते हो? Or if you have,
I'll tell you one fact, and it's a very experimented fact in every single team. Attribution bias.
What is that?
If you go to any team of 5 people, 10 people, and let's say they led a project, and you ask each of them individually, one-on-one, that what is your percentage of contribution to the project? And if you add up all their numbers, it will always add up to more than 200%. So everyone always overestimates what their contribution is. And I think, again, as a founder, you have to acknowledge that bias. Like, whatever I think I am contributing, I am probably contributing less than half of that. And I think that framework kind of takes you away from conflicts again. That you know that I will always overestimate what I am doing.
But ये evolve होती है, क्या ये सच है? As attribution, you like put more effort and you expect more out of it, and आप कैसे उसको fight करते हो? या you let go, जो पहले sign था वही है?
Actually, मैं बताता हूँ मेरा thought framework क्या रहा है वहाँ पे framework क्या रहा है, देखिए 100% of 0 is still 0 and like 50% of something big is still a very, very large amount, right? And to be honest, as human beings, we don't need a lot to survive. मतलब वो तो probably job में भी survive कर लेते हैं. तो ठीक है 1-2% ऊपर नीचे होगा, उससे कोई outcome में impact नहीं आने वाला. Just focus on building a bigger, better company. That should take 100% share of your mind, nothing else. तो वो ठीक है ऊपर नीचे होता है, that's nobody, it's not going to lead to anything fruitful for the company, and like that is the thing you should be solving for.
Focus on making something really big,
make the
creating
pie
a lot of value,
bigger and bigger.
And if there's a lot of value created, then it's great for everyone.
And the government kind of restricts कि ये कर सकते हो, ये नहीं कर सकते AI. So how much you think government is restricting you in your revolution, or it is giving you advantage? Both sides आप बता सकते हो.
Right. I think देखिए regulations के upside and downside दोनों हैं. Regulation है because it is there to protect against certain bad players in the ecosystem. So हम जाके जबरदस्ती government को गाली दें वो गलत चीज़ हो जाती है. I think for us what has been very important is while like restrictions are prohibitive, especially when it comes to playing around with the curriculum and innovating with the curriculum, borrow the good elements from the regulations and implement that at your place as well. Which is, for example, how do you make sure that if you are taking responsibility for somebody for the next 4 years, you don't shut down in the next 4 years? Can't happen. That's just a no-go. So how do you maybe keep capital separately for this effort so that you have zero risk of this institute ever going down? or for example, how do you create relaxed refund policies, etc. here, so that even if somebody is in economic distress, they might want to leave, they have the independence to do so. So some of those we try to borrow from the regulation and inculcate here, and we try to be on the right side of regulation, which means we don't want to ever do anything where we are violating the regulation. They're there for a good reason.
I think in the very first principle, if you ensure that the your student welfare, their well-being is always the priority. And generally, if you look at even the regulations, most of them are created with that intent. Some of them might have gotten overboard and let's say create more restriction. But having this, first principle that all the decision section should be in the student welfare. Overall, what I see that in the education side, the government is very, in a way, they are working in the same direction. That our youth have to be employable, and for that it has to be skill-first education. Right, unfortunately, and if you look at new education policy, for example, it's very beautifully crafted to allow people to work in between their degrees, maybe finish the degree later, or even get credits for the internships or work they are doing in the industry. Right. Now, one fact of India is a huge country, like 1.5 billion people. So implementation of policies in public sphere takes time. Fortunately, where we are operating as a private player, we have much more flexibility. But intent-wise, at least my opinion is that the government is taking the right steps towards making education more industry-ready, industry-first, where people, when they graduate, they should not just get a piece of paper. Even many of the, bureaucrats and the policymakers that we have interacted with, Mr. Amitabh Kant, etc., like they're all very pro skill-first education. They have demanded the university chancellors that don't tell me about how many degrees that you have given. Tell me about how many students of you are employed in the industry. So I think they are working in the right direction. And I think we have to acknowledge that it's not easy to change something in a country of 1.5 billion people in just 1 year or 2 years or 4 years.
We are very good at जुगाड़. पॉलिसी में एक लूप होल होगा उसको निकाल के लोग
छोटा सा लूप होल होगा अगर वो चेंज करेंगे छोटा सा लूप होल रह गया people will abuse that and do things, so they will have to do it very carefully. The changes that need to be done, they will have to do it very carefully, but they are working on it.
Okay, last, now आपके juniors who are getting 1 crore offers in the US working there, they want to take inspiration from you, come to India and build something. आप उनको क्या कहोगे? अपनी financial advantages बताओ and disadvantages.
I'll tell you my perspective and then obviously you will. Look, what I feel is that US में आप अगर इंडिया वापस आ रहे हो तो आपके पास इतनी सेविंग होगी कि उसके ऊपर आप इंक्रीमेंटल सेविंग करके कुछ खास आपके लाइफ स्टैंडर्ड में चेंज नहीं आने वाला है. Whether you have $1 million or $2 million, it doesn't change the standard of your life. And if you have to truly create wealth, to be honest, I feel India उस inflection point पे है जहाँ पे there are so many problem statements to be solved here. And if you solve a problem statement for 1.5 billion people, you're obviously going to create wealth by the function of creating value. So no better time to be here. Be prepared for chaos. Because I mean, companies in India have to be built in a very resilient fashion, in a way where they can deal with chaos, they can deal with slowness on the government side, etc. As long as you're ready for that, as long as you're ready to grill it out, I think you'll create something of value eventually.
No, as Anshuman said, that I think it's very globally accepted fact that India is the largest, in a way, homogeneous country. While we have massive diversity, but one singular homogeneous country of 1.5 billion people, which has highest GDP growth rate in the world. Like if you look at any of the large countries, any country with let's say more than 200 million people, India has the highest GDP growth rate. In next 10-20 years, I'm fairly certain there will be at least 40-50 billion dollar new billion dollar companies created. There will be thousands of $100 million plus companies created. Right? Now this opportunity does not exist anywhere else in the world.
So true.
If you have, the in a way financial cushion, if you have the skills, if you have the knowledge, I would ask, why are you not taking a shot at it? Why are you not buying this lottery ticket? Because even if you don't win, you would have built something massive for yourself.
जी, और लोग purchasing power parity का दिखते नहीं है. मैं बताता हूँ. जैसे लोग कहते हैं कि there are more unicorns from Palo Alto in California than all over India combined. ये मैंने अपने वीडियो में डिस्कवर करके बताया था. But people forget that almost $100 million company in India purchasing power parity के हिसाब से, it is more than a unicorn company of US.
Of US,
Yeah. So can you share the wealth benefits year by year if someone is coming into education? What do you think is more in terms of wealth power in India as compared to US? जो purchasing power parity की वजह से आपको मिलता है, पर उनको दिखता नहीं है because they compare apples to apples.
Well, I think if you're building out of India, one is your burn rate is smaller because the salaries that you have to pay here, obviously like the salaries in the United States, especially Palo Alto के आसपास तो
मतलब वहाँ पे it's like either you raise in 6 months or you shut down. Like even actually when we started, Anshuman was in London at that time and I was planning to move to Berlin, but we decided let's build it in India. The reason was that see whatever savings we have, if we are building in India, even for 2, 3, 4 years, even if we don't raise, it's okay. We can easily kind of keep trying to solve the problem we are trying to solve. If we started building in London or Berlin or New York or Palo Alto, anywhere, if we couldn't raise in 6 months, we'll have to shut down.
Actually, so that's one, which is your burn rate is low. The other is India gives you some benefits which mostly never gets talked about, which is a typical household in India would have a cook, would have a household help, which is very cheap.
Mental support, जो वहाँ पे नहीं है.
Mental support, right? And that frees up your time massively. मतलब मैं again खुद का बता रहा हूँ कि if you have to worry about your food every day, if you have to worry about cleaning your house every day, that takes up a decent chunk of your time. India आने के बाद वो सारा time free. So that also gives you certain, I mean, the quality of life. I know like our environment could be better, our roads could be better, etc. But घर के अंदर, where you spend the most amount of time, there the quality of life is much better.
And let me put some numbers here. For less than $1,000 a month, you can have one full-time butler who will do your clothes, who will do your dishes, who will cook for you, have nice delicious meals for you, serve it to you, probably pack tiffin and deliver it on your office. So personal butler 24/7 for you. Plus you can have a personal chauffeur. Plus you can have one person to run things errands for you. All of this, which is typically a billionaire's lifestyle in Palo Alto. All of this for less than $1,000 a month.
But what you don't get, okay, so clean air you mentioned, but I think Bangalore का pollution बहुत कम है as compared to, I think that can be eliminated. It's number 2 is traffic. Or what else you think you don't get here? वो भी transparently बताना जरूरी है. लोग बात नहीं करते, एक ही साइड चले जाते हैं. आप transparently बताओ.
नहीं, I think जो एक चीज है ना कि US में just on the bottom layer there is because more professionalism, so there is more predictability. मैंने आज बोला है मेरे घर में plumbing कराना है तो हो जाएगा. इंडिया में वो बोलेगा अरे हाँ सर कल हो जाएगा.
My water purifier was not working and I have been trying to get it fixed for last 4-5 days. Today finally it got fixed, but then I had to coordinate on the phone. Yeah, ठीक है ये हो गया. So yeah, that's all.
So one is you have higher predictability there. Obviously, like much again more expensive. A plumber visit would cost you $60 to $120 in the US. India में
it's like $1 or $2 maybe.
$1 or $2, right? So there's obviously like that difference.
Yeah. Okay, final question. What thing has given you sleepless nights as a founder? And if it has happened, if it hasn't, आप भी बता सकते हो.
I sleep pretty well.
I mean, different phases पे कुछ events रहे हैं. Like for example, when we were very new, we didn't have like a very stable revenue source. तो उस टाइम पे तो मतलब actually at one point of time हमारा ऐसा होता था कि cash जो हमें collect करना है that was delayed. For example, we would actually work with companies to help them hire. Typically, companies are not very good at settling the invoices very.
The invoices pending for 6 months, 7 months, and you're still following up. Please pay us the money for the work we did for you.
So, well, there you then are worrying about how do you pay the salary for the next month because you're completely bootstrapped, you don't have additional funds. So that would give you sleepless nights. Maybe later on, one of the things that we have learned as a founder is how to grow a thick skin because internet पे लोग कुछ भी बोलते हैं.
No matter what you do, there will be like on Twitter and like some random guy will come and post some random comment. You have to learn to ignore it.
So but it took us a while to learn,
Yeah.
right? So initially it would give us sleepless night when somebody would say a very bad thing about it, and बैठ के हम discuss कर रहे हैं कि यार ऐसा क्यों बोला होगा उसने.
Oh, you're feeling bad कि यार हमने क्या गलत किया, मतलब why is this guy saying so? But you're like, yeah, just ignore. मतलब there are randoms on internet behind anonymity who will just say any bullshit.
And thank you so much, Anshuman and Abhimanyu. It was very nice talking to you and learned a lot. Watching this video, first of all, most of like 20% of the audience, maybe in US, maybe will get a motivation ki challenges ke beyond, they can come to India and build something as well. Thank you so much.
And again, we have this beautiful innovation lab. We would love to have you and build it from here.
Thank you.